Welcome to Scone Baking Beyond. Hi, I'm Kathy, and I enjoy making scones, muffins, cookies, and all sorts of delicious baked goodies. Today, I'm going to show you how to make my pumpkin pie scones with a cranberry icing. These delicious scones have a wonderful pumpkin pie flavor and are filled with toasted pecans and cranberries. And then I topped it with a delicious cranberry icing. So, let's bake. So whenever we're making scones, the first thing we want to do is grate our butter. So I have 8 tablespoons of butter, or 1 stick, or 1/2 cup of butter, and I'm going to grate it. And the reason why I'm grating it, because it'll make it just the right size for when I need to mix it in with my dry ingredients. There we go. It's all grated. So now that we've grated our butter, I'm going to put this butter in the freezer because I want to keep this butter as cold as I can for as long as I can. While our butter's in the freezer, it's time to put our dry ingredients together. So I have here 1 3/4 cups of all-purpose flour. I have 1/2 cup of whole wheat pastry flour. I like adding whole wheat flour to my baked goods, but I use whole wheat pastry flour because it's lighter in texture. I have 1/4 cup of brown sugar, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, 3/4 teaspoon of salt, and 1 1/2 teaspoons of pumpkin pie spice. Because, by the way, these are pumpkin scones, and we do want them to taste like pumpkin pie. So I'm going to just whisk all those ingredients together. It's time to add our frozen grated butter. Oh, it's nice and cold. Get all that butter in there. There we go. Everyone in the pool there. There we go. Get it all in there. And I think, yeah, I actually got it all in there this time. Typically, one piece always tries to escape, but not this time. So we're just going to mix the butter with our dry ingredients until all of the butter is coated with this flour mixture. There we go. And that keeps this butter cold longer. So now it's time to set this aside, and it's time to put our wet ingredients together. So I have here 1 egg, 1/2 cup of canned pumpkin. You can use fresh pumpkin puree or you can use canned pumpkin. And I have here 1/3 cup of non-fat milk. And I'll whisk this together until it's totally combined. Okay, now that our wet ingredients are combined, it's time to put them into our butter flour mixture here. There we go. Get it all in there. And we're just going to mix this until it comes together into a ball. I don't want to work the dough too much, but I do want it to get together. But there will always be some left over in the bottom, and that's okay. So now we're going to take a little technique we learned from croissant making. And what we're going to do is we're going to roll this out into a 12-inch by 12-inch square. Okay, let's see how we're doing here. 12 inches by 12 inches, perfect. So now we're going to, like I said, we're taking a little technique from croissant making, and we're going to fold this in thirds that way, and then fold in thirds back over itself, and then fold in thirds the other direction. And now we're going to take a little board here. You can use a plate, And we're going to put some flour on it. We're going to take our dough and put it on our board here. And because I've handled this dough and I'm starting to warm up that butter, I'm going to put this in the freezer for about 5 minutes. Okay, while our dough's in the freezer, it's time to get our filling ingredients together. So I have here 1/3 cup of brown sugar, 1 tablespoon of cinnamon, and 1/2 teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice. So we're just going to get this all mixed together. And this is going to go inside of our scones. This is going to be so wonderful. It's going to give you that wonderful flavor of pumpkin pie, not only in the scone dough, but then in the filling also, because we're going to fill these scones. So there we are. It's all mixed up. We're going to set this aside. Okay, it's been 5 minutes, and get our dough out of the freezer. And now we're going to roll it out into another 12-inch by 12-inch square. Let's see how we're doing. I'll square this up. And now we're going to see, that's 12 inches by 12 inches. It's just perfect. And my scraper here has inches marked out on it. And so I know that I have 12 inches. There we are. So now we've taken a little technique from croissant making, and now we're going to move on to a little technique from cinnamon rolls. So what I'm going to do is I have 2 tablespoons of melted butter, and I'm going to spread this all over this dough. There we are. Now, oh, it's going to taste so good. So then the brown sugar, cinnamon, pumpkin pie mixture that we put together, we're going to put that on there, and we're going to spread that all over our dough. And make sure to get it all the way over to the edges here, so that whoever gets that piece of scone also get all the wonderful flavor of cinnamon and pumpkin pie and brown sugar. That looks good. And then I'm going to add some toasted pecans. So I have 1/4 cup of chopped pecans, and I've toasted them. I'm going to sprinkle those all over. Try to get them as evenly dispersed, and let's get you back in there. Try to get them as even as you can around so that everyone gets some pecans in their scones. And then I have 1/4 cup of dried cranberries, also known as craisins. So we'll sprinkle those about. And if they're trying to stick together a little bit, it's okay, just kind of separate them out a little bit. And again, you just want to try and make sure to get these evenly distributed throughout the entire dough. So I'm just going to pat those down a little bit, and now we're going to roll it up like you would a cinnamon roll. We want to roll these as tight as you can, but this is a scone dough, and it doesn't have the elasticity of a cinnamon roll dough. So it will tear if you try to roll it too tight. And if it sticks on the board, just take your scraper and scrape underneath. And if some of these pieces try to get away, you get them back in there. There we go. Don't let them escape. And I roll it all the way over. Well, let's get you back in there. And then I just kind of pinch this closed. So that as it bakes, it doesn't open up. And we have some escapees over here. They're trying to get out. So then I'm going to roll that back down. So now we're going to cut these into 1-inch pieces. So now we're going to put these on our baking sheet, and I always line my baking sheet with parchment paper. I'm going to put these on our baking sheet about 2 inches apart. And now it's time to give each one an egg wash, and that'll give them that nice golden brown, and you know it's going to be delicious. Okay, give the last one a little egg wash on there. There we go. Oh, these are going to be so good. They have the pumpkin pie flavor in them. They have toasted pecans in them. They have cranberries in them. So I preheated my oven to 400 degrees, and I'm going to cook these for 15 to 17 minutes. Okay, it's been 15 minutes and our scones are done. Don't those look just wonderful? They are going to be tasting so good. Anyway, the first thing I want to do is take these scones and take them off the baking sheet. And that's why I always use parchment paper, so I can take these scones off the baking sheet. And the reason why is I don't want these scones to cook any more in the bottom than they already have. I don't want the bottoms to get overcooked, so I always take them right off the baking sheet right away. We're going to let these cool completely, and then it's time to ice them. Because we're going to make a cranberry icing, and I have these craisins here, I need to soak them first. So I have here 1/2 cup of boiling water, and I have 2 tablespoons of craisins, and I'm just going to put them in the boiling water for 10 minutes and let them soak up. Okay, it's been 10 minutes and our craisins have rehydrated, so I'm going to drain them. Here we are. Get them all drained. And then we're going to give them just a nice little rough chop here. And put them back in my colander here. And we're just going to set them aside until they're totally cool. Now that our scones are almost cool, it's time to get our icing together. I have here 1 cup of sifted powdered sugar. I'm going to add the craisins that we rehydrated. I'm going to add here 1 tablespoon of softened butter or room temperature butter and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And I'm going to mix that together. I also have here 1 tablespoon of milk, but I'm going to add it as we need it because we may not need that entire tablespoon of milk. And that is because the craisins still have a little bit of liquid still in them. So just kind of get this going, and then we'll add the milk a little at a time. So I'm going to add about a teaspoon of milk. Okay, that looks really good, and this time I only needed 1 teaspoon of that milk, but I always put a tablespoon aside just in case I need more. And that looks really good, and as you can see, it does turn pink because of the cranberries that's in there, but it's really tasty. I know the pink icing looks a little strange on those orange scones, but it goes really well with it. There we go. Put that aside, and now it's time to ice them. So we'll just take a little, about a teaspoon's worth, and just spread it all over. Now for the last one, I think we need a little more on there. We have some more left, so a little bit more on there. Oh, that looks so good. That is going to taste wonderful. You're going to get a little pumpkin pie flavor, a little pecan pie flavor, a little cranberry sauce flavor. Oh, it's going to be so good. So now it's time to try one. So I'm going to cut this one open. So you can see in the inside, you see the craisins in there, there's pecans in there, the pumpkin pie, brown sugar, and cinnamon all mixed in there, like a cinnamon roll in there. Oh, this is going to taste so good. And then, of course, on top, the cranberry icing. You get that pumpkin pie flavor, you get the toasted pecans, and of course that cranberry icing is so delicious. For the complete recipe, please go to my website, sconebaking.com. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe for future videos. Thank you very much for watching. Mm.